All right, to talk more about this, let's bring in former New Brunswick Premier and political analyst, Brian Gallant. Mr. Gallant, thanks for being here. Welcome.
Thanks again for having me.
So as we look ahead to next week's meeting between Prime Minister Carney and the premiers, what can we expect on that front?
Well, let's start with some context. This is actually the summer annual meeting that happens every single year that one of the premiers is the host, is the sort of chair of the Council of the Federation, which has the 13 premiers get together. So the chair right now is, in fact, Premier Ford. So he had this meeting scheduled more than a month ago, but given everything that's going on with the U.S., he, as the chair, invited the prime minister to join the premiers, and he decided, the prime minister did, to join. And this is going to be literally the day after they had self-imposed a deadline to themselves between the Trump administration and the Canadian government to have a deal. So July 21st was the self-imposed deadline. They're going to be meeting really the day after that, as the premiers are all meeting in Ontario. So really, I think what we can expect, everybody's going to talk about trade. Everybody's going to want to know what has been said behind closed doors, to what extent the Prime Minister will be able to share and feel comfortable sharing. We shall see. Certainly what they share with the premiers and what is shared with media will most likely be different. But also, I think you're going to find the premiers very interested in the idea that the Carney government has started to float, that there may indeed still be some tariffs, even if there is a deal with the U.S. And that's sort of been news to everyone over the last few days. And I assume, as Canadians want to know, the premiers will be very curious to see what that could look like.
Many groups are coming out, including health coalitions and the Canadian Federation of Independent Business, with certain calls for what they want to be discussed. How does the Prime Minister handle that?
So that's normal. I actually had the immense privilege of chairing the Council of the Federation meeting in St. Andrews, New Brunswick, a quick little plug for the province here. And in fact, it was Premier Ford's first Council of the Federation meeting way back in 2018. So when that happens, when you have this meeting, you have lots of groups that want to meet premiers, that are sending in sort of advocacy points, that are trying to be at the event itself, or that are invited to some of the. So that's all very normal. We're not living normal days. So clearly, there are lots of organizations that are very adamant that they want to be able to voice their opinions and give some points and suggestions about how Canada should handle the conflict with the U.S. So I think, although it's normal, it's probably a little bit enhanced because of the times we're living in. And on top of that, the Prime Minister showing up. So literally, this is now turning into a First Ministers meeting and a Council of the Federation meeting, as well as some meetings with some Indigenous leaders as well. So this is really a very important few days in Ontario, and I think you're going to see a lot of groups sort of try to do what they can to shape the messages and shape what comes out of these meetings as best they can.
Yes, it will be interesting to see how yesterday's meeting with Indigenous leaders and Mark Carney may change what is discussed at this upcoming First Ministers meeting. Mr. Gallant, we'll have to leave it there. That is our time. Thank you very much for being here and sharing your insights with us.
Thank you. Until next time.
That's Brian Gallant, political analyst and former New Brunswick Premier.